All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. It is the weekend. I'm loving it. I'm spending some time with you guys. I've spent some time with family, so that duty is finished. Now it's time to spend with you guys. Don't be alarmed. I'm just waiting on Ryan to pop in. He's just getting ready. I think he's getting his laptop ready or something like that. But meanwhile, I'll take the opportunity to talk to you guys, connect with you guys a lot more. I absolutely enjoy doing this. So first of all, shout out to the live chat. Quite a few people already here. Loving it. Smash the like button as you are coming through. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. And we're very close to 6,000, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very close. While I'm speaking, I've got Ryan here. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Sorry for being 60 seconds late.
Well, seven minutes late because we're meant to start at 1 p.m. UK, but it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
Look, I was just going through the live chat and just saying hello to everyone. So hang tight, Ryan, while I do that. I want to shout out to Come On You Blues TV. Jake, thank you so much for being here. Declan in Ireland, he's just always buzzing. One of the first few, in the live chat straight away. I love that. Then we've got C1, LDN. Anirudh is here. Thank you so much for being here, Anirudh. Oliawasi is he declared, my man. Declared saying, Ryan, this is a comment for you from Declared. Miz, I need to ask Ryan a question now that he changed his name from Carefree to Top 4. Will he be talking in more serious manner? The carefree attitude he has been on previous streams. So I'll let you just wait on that a little bit. Declared what Carefree, what Ryan does now. His Top 4 tactics. Yeah. By the way, guys. As I was saying, shout out to so many people. 42 people already logged in, close to 50. Smash the like button. Brent Smith is here. Pratik is here. William is here. David's here. Ashley Lewis is here. This is buzzing. Frederick is here. Hersey Channel is here. Guadalupe is here. This is brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan's just started his own, a new page. Well, it's his old page that has been transformed into a new page, and it's now called Top 4 Tactics in Twitter. The information on the socials in the description. So if you want to follow him, he's publishing mega unbelievable threads on a daily basis, or every now and then, I suppose, but very frequently. You do want to check that out, honestly. So go out there and follow him. All right, Ryan. Before we start, how's things, man? How you been?
It's been good. It's been busy, man. As you said, I launched this new Twitter on Sunday, and I'm actually doing a 25-day thread. So every day I'm posting until the season starts. It's a 25-day thread analyzing the top attacking teams of the past decade. So top 25 teams. So yeah, it's been a lot of busyness, man, together with work and all of that. But it's been good to keep busy though. So I'm happy.
Brilliant.
How are you?
Yeah, been all right, man. I've had work today. So finished up work in the morning and then spent a lot of time with the family. And now I get to chill out with you guys and talk Chelsea, talk about some tactics. Really good way to finish the day off, which is going to be brilliant. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into this. We've got 51 people live after 4 minutes. Smash the like button as you're coming along. Let's get those likes up to 50 straight away. Helps the channel out a lot. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been wanting to do this tactical analysis for a little while, and I'm glad I've got Ryan here. And far too many times, I want to see what Ryan has to say about this as well. I'm pretty sure he's got a lot to say about this. And the live chat as well. Let me know how you sort of think. I've seen too many times in social media, or if I talk to anyone outside, they get too fixated about the formation. When they think about a formation, they think that's exactly where the players sit permanently. Like say, for instance, Thomas Tuchel's 3-4-2-1, they literally think the players are just sitting in those formation and they're moving in that formation up and down. It's not like that. It really isn't like that. If you watch the game, the formation is barely what it seems like from the get-go. It shifts and turns so many times throughout the match, it's not even funny. In fact, many a times you'll probably see multiple different formations happening throughout the match. Sometimes you'll see two up top. Sometimes you may see one. Sometimes you may even see a line of three. Sometimes in midfield, you'll see three, not the two, because someone else is dropping deep. Sometimes you'll see Jorginho the deepest. And then sometimes it may look like a back three, but it's really set up in a sort of a diagonal way where it's actually a back two. And it's pushing an overload from one side to another. So you'll see many different variation. I mean, Ryan, I know you have a lot to say about this, and you said it quite a long time in this channel, but quite a long time ago, that it's never ever about the formation. It's how you want to attack, how you want to defend, what you do with the ball, off the ball. So what do you have to say about this whole formation thing that most fans just get themselves so attached?
Well, yeah, I think that a lot of people has ideas on what a player's role has to be in a certain formation. And I think that confuses a lot of people because it puts ceilings on players and their abilities. And it puts ceilings on what you think the team could do and should do. I think that if it's one thing I learned, it's that formation is just a formality. On the pitch, things unfold, according to how the game is going, but most importantly, according to the personnel you have. And I think that throughout Tuchel's career, he really looked and analyzed the personnel he had and got the best out of that personnel. A lot of people talk about Tuchel's system. I say Tuchel's system is getting the best out of the players he has. And that's something he has done throughout his whole career, and by using, I've seen 5 different systems he's used successfully. And all 5 different philosophies. And it's been amazing to see unfold, and I'm very happy and excited to go through what he can probably do with Chelsea, because we have so much talented players who could fit into many different systems.
No, 100%, man. 100%. Guys, just give me 1 second. I think something's happened to my Facebook setting. Just bear with me while I get that sorted. Won't be too long. It's just not working out. I'll sort that out later on. All right. Ryan, you're absolutely right. 100% right about the different formations and whatnot for Thomas Tuchel, and they all do different things. I want to start the discussion with the first thing, right? I want to bring this up, the board. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the tactical board. I've just gone with the team that I think this is the team. Yeah, this was the team that started for the Champions League final, and I want to now share the first video where I really want to talk about the Jorginho's role and also just the overall sort of. So Aspilicueta drops in. Number 4 is Christensen, who passes it back. So it's not really even a back bit about this, because this is very, very interesting. I mean, Ryan, the way I saw that initially, it was something like that. Kante was more as a box-to-box like this. Many people think the 6-6 is always like this, like they sit side by side. For me, I barely see it that way. And it's different when it's with the ball and without the ball. With the ball, it's generally Kante driving up and down here, and Jorginho is basically the deepest midfielder. And then we saw this sort of formation that was creating, and actually we kind of saw this because both Timo Werner, Mason Mount was here, Chilwell was here. It was more like a 2 up top, really, and they were wide from each other. and Aspie was more like this. This was actually Christensen. Let's just change that up. I mean, Ryan, we talk about the 3-4-2-1 under Thomas Tuchel. In that particular scenario, we literally saw that that's not the case with the ball. So we saw that Jorginho was the deepest player. And then when we went backwards, Kante started dropping deeper. I mean, how do you see that whole plan? Was it interesting to you to see that? That's, I suppose, we've named this show the Mythbuster. I mean, for me, that's the first Mythbuster, that the double sixes don't generally just stick to each other.
Well, I think that I've studied all 5 systems, what Tuchel did, and posted threads on them. And it's one thing that's really a part of his philosophy and his system that was consistent throughout all 5, was that he splits his field into halves. Yeah. 1 half and 1 half. What he does is that he overloads 1 half with players where he can build through that overload, progress the ball through that overload to get into the final third, and then, or he has the option to switch play to the other half of the pitch. And what we see here is that that's where the double pivot would come into place. One player would be in the overload, which would be Jorginho, right? He would be the ball player who would progress the ball to the other attacking midfielders. And then the other part of the pivot would be the connector, I would call them. He would be on the other half of the pitch, where he would be there to facilitate the switch of play. Not in the long ball sense that we always think about with switch of plays, but in a short pass or medium pass way where he could take the ball and drive forward and relay it to the other teammates on that half of the pitch. So I think that Kante plays that role perfectly, and if you can visualize that, you can see that happens so much times. And that's why it's so important to have a person like Kante or Kovacic in our team. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just getting a bit bothered about some of these Facebook comments that are coming out of nowhere. Sorry, guys. Let me just sort this out a little bit. I'm not sure where this is coming from. I mean, I know I'm connected. My stream is connected to Facebook. You people, where is this coming from, ladies and gentlemen? Can you guys see these Facebook comments that are coming through?
Yo, Miz, in the meantime, while you're doing that, what's the website you use? So I could probably share my screen to help people visualize what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Football Formation Builder.
Okay.
Yeah. Live chat. Just let me know if you guys can see any of the Facebook messages that are coming through. Okay, you guys can't see that. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. Why am I seeing all of these weird comments on my... It's very, very strange. I think I must have got hacked. Yeah. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just delete these comments because it's starting to... Very hard to concentrate when you get all these weird comments that are coming through. That's very strange, man. Cool. All right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan, do you want to just talk through that again? Sorry, bro. The whole Kovacic, the connector that you were talking about, 1 half of the pivot stays behind the other half on the other side. Do you want to just go through that so that I can just pick that up again? Sorry, bro.
Yeah. I was actually trying to find a website that if you want, you can send a link on the comments. But I can still go through it.
Of course, bro. Of course.
Because it'll be easier for people to follow.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be heaps easier. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just send a link.
We got Yusuf here. Yeah, I just DM'd you, bro. Yusuf, my man, how you doing? Big up Miz and Top 4 Tactics and live chat. Top 4 Tactics is really, really Ryan. So, it's just his Twitter name. While Ryan's just getting that up, I just want to hear from you guys as well, live chat. I mean, what's your understanding when you see a formation? I want to just bring up some of your comments and maybe have a discussion about it. Are you guys ever thinking that when it's a formation of 3-4-2-1, that players generally stay like that? I saw someone say fluid, which is exactly what it is. You know, the formation is very fluid. The formation is never, I don't even think it's ever 3-4-2-1. It's always shifting either this way or that way. As you can see in the screen, it's very much a right-sided. I think Tuchel likes to favor this side of the pitch to overload so that the quick switch can happen on this side. And at times vice versa as well, depending on exactly how he wants to attack. Even this one from Atul saying 4-2-2-2. I mean, Atul, are you fixated on this particular formation 4-2-2? What I'm trying to say is that players constantly move around. Like, I mean, you're looking at it in the screen right now. What formation does that look to you? This was the exact setup for the Champions League winner. This is exactly how we scored. If I go back to that footage again, just quickly.
I mean, that's the kind of beauty of having Azpilicueta there, because he's a right back, right? So
exactly
that kind of can I just share my screen?
Yeah, man.
I have everything good.
You'll be able to share. Go share.
Yeah. Let me share screen. Okay. Right. Is that sharing?
Yeah.
Do I need to zoom in like last time? Okay, is that cool?
There you go. Yeah, that's perfect, bro.
Yeah, what you saw just now was kind of something like this. A kind of V-shaped back three. Then you'd have Chilwell here. And if you kind of look at it, then Georgie here. I think Kante was somewhere here. Yeah, but if you look at that, right? Even I want you to check out this shape here.
And Mount was a lot deeper. Mount was actually just alongside Chilwell, and Kai and Werner were quite spread apart.
Yeah,
and pretty much in the same sort of line. Yeah.
But
yep.
What I want you to check out here is this back three here. That's how Tuchel set up his back four with PSG. No, not PSG. Sorry, what I'm talking about. This is how Flick sets up his back four with Bayern, with Pavard being here, and then the other center back. So what we have with Azpilicueta, since he's a pure right back, that we can always switch from a back four to a back three if we want, and that really helps. But to talk about the point that we were talking about prior, just to give you a good idea, is that I would see it as kind of like such when we play just to overload one side and have the other half of the pitch to switch play. So we'd probably shape up kind of something like this here, and we would overload the left side of the pitch. Jorginho would fall next to the center back and have connection to play balls through the lines to Chilwell, Mount, and even to Werner to cut lines of defense with his passes. Also having the option to switch play to Kante, which is at a position where he would be in tons of space to drive the ball forward, or he could go along to reach James or even Kai up top. So that's something that has been kind of a part of all Tuchel's systems throughout his career. He likes to split his pitch into halves, overload one side, and have the switch of play to the other. And I think that having a pair like Jorginho and Kante really complements each other, because it has one sit in and one be able to roam. So one helping in the build up and one helping to be the connector. And I think that's very important to think about, that we have a Kante, we have a Kovacic, but we don't have anybody like a Jorginho. And if he gets injured, that could be a problem for us.
Yeah, 100%. The first, let's discuss about the first Mythbuster. This is brilliant. I want you to actually drive this, because that way I can ask you the question and you can sort of demonstrate, right. The first Mythbuster that I want to talk about, and live chat, let me know what your thoughts are as well. People say oh, but Jorginho can't play a lone DM. He's gonna get found out. He doesn't have the athleticism. But I'm pretty certain under Thomas Tuchel, he's still at times with the ball when we're building up. He's the deepest midfielder. And without the ball as well, when we're pressing and counter-pressing, he's still one of the deepest. At times he does drive forward and then Kante sort of tucks in. I mean, talk through with and without the ball, Jorginho's sort of involvement under Thomas Tuchel that's allowing him not to be exposed, because people still think, oh, someone like Declan Rice will come in and make sure that we never ever get beaten in a counter attack. But under Thomas Tuchel, it's not like Jorginho has been absolutely been exposed as opposed to what he used to be under Frank Lampard.
I love that you bring that up, because think about this like back four now, right? I think that Tuchel is kind of protecting Jorginho the way Sarri protected him at Napoli.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about a certain shape. Pretend this is a 4-3-3, even though we are using our back three, right? 4-3-3 with Georgie as the CDM, Kante and Mount as the center midfielders, right?
Yes.
So what the shape that we would have unfold here is that, think about Chilwell, Rudiger, and Christensen making a V.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
And then I want a diagonal V, right? Are you seeing my mouse also when I share my screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing your
Nice.
mouse. I can see the shape you're trying to make there.
And then think about our next V, our next diagonal V going straight up top, right?
Right.
If
so
you can
Mount,
see here,
Georgie and Kante. Mount, Georgie and Kante.
And you could have Aspi here. So if you look at it from a plan view, a straight view, you would think, okay, you have back three, then you have 3-1-3. 3-3-1-3. What am I talking about? Yeah, 3-3-1-3. Good. So, but if you look at it from my way, is 2 diagonal V's, right?
Yeah.
What that does is that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players surrounding Jorginho. So
wow, this is brilliant, bro.
When on the ball, it would be very difficult to get any players to press him, mark him, and he would have time to play those passes between the lines, or even to Werner, Kai, or our wing back.
So basically, just to interject there, sorry, Ryan, because I'm going to try and sort of get my thoughts as well while you're talking. Just to say, it seems like a conscious decision from Thomas Tuchel to surround Jorginho with those 5 players, Mount, Chilwell, Rudy, AC, Aspi, Kante, to ensure that he is protected with and without the ball.
Yeah, and I think that's why sometimes we can be a little bit vulnerable when Alonso plays, because Chilwell has the ability to start from here. He can get up and down. He has the legs for it, right? But when Alonso plays now, his starting position is quite high. And then Mount would drop a little bit, and then we'd have a situation where Jorginho is kind of exposed to get pressed. And then he can lose the ball. Now Rudiger is wide, because if Chilwell leaves, then Rudiger will have to get wider to keep that width. And then we'd be exposed through this part of the pitch. That's why it's so important to have a player like Chilwell who can do that extra, who can get up and down the pitch when needed.
Brilliant, bro.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Sarri did in Napoli. He would have these players around him. He would have Hamsik and Alan surrounding Jorginho, so Jorginho would have that free reign. And then Alan and Hamsik would be the connectors of play. They would had the ability to roam and connect play and make sure the attackers got the balls they needed to get. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant, man. I want to read out this particular comment from Marcus Trashford. Jorginho is the heartbeat of the team. The others are the organs that needs oxygen pumping continues. That is such a brilliant comment from you, Marcus, man. This is exactly what Ryan is demonstrating to us, how we have been playing when Jorginho is playing under Thomas Tuchel. Literally, he's the center. He's the absolute epicenter of everything that is circulating around the team. And the reason why he's not getting exposed as much as he used to under Frank Lampard is, as you can see, the V shapes that are forming behind him and in front of him, as Ryan has developed here, is helping him out a lot. So it is so systematic. Like all of these things, people, they go, oh, there's not that much, football is not that much tactical. You can be very tactical, but, at the end of the day, just go out there and do your job, just do your role. No, this clearly shows exactly how to protect Jorginho and ensure that we can build up quite nicely. Just the whole. Let's talk about the build up now, Ryan, because we've talked about the pressing, counter pressing stuff and why he doesn't get exposed. But talk through the Chelsea's build up under Thomas Tuchel, whether it be from the right side or the left side, with this particular set of players and the initial formations that we have.
Well, before I talk about the build up, before I change this whole setup here, I want you to think about one thing. When we decide to switch the play, you can see why we want a right wing back who's very pacey and could get up and down the pitch as opposed to Reece James. And because that guy is going to act as a winger at the end of the day, and Reece James does.
Ryan, you there?
Sets up like this, we need that right wing back to fall in.
We just missed you, Ryan, a little bit in the middle. Do you want to start that again?
Yeah, I said that. Are you seeing the field?
Yep.
Okay, nice. What I'm saying is that before I change this field setup, I just want you to realize where Reece James is and his position for the switch of play. The reason why Tuchel would want a Hakimi or Adama Traore or a quick wing back who has that winger instinct is that there's going to be many times that Kai would drop or Werner would drop, and there would be a quite empty space here allowing for that switch of play. And we need a wing back who could get into these positions here to allow to facilitate that switch of play, especially when we have Kante roaming and this and that. And I think that's why he won't want Reece James as a permanent right wing back, and he would more want him as an overlapping right centre back.
Yeah.
But to answer your question on the build up with Jorginho, with this formation here, is that we use let me get back those V's. Nice. We use a left hand side overload or right hand side, depends on where you want to build play from.
Yeah.
His role here, I think that we are lucky enough that we are not too dependent on Jorginho in our build up, as opposed to different Tuchel teams where he was very dependent on a Verratti to get those balls in between the lines, or on a Weigl. We're lucky that Chilwell and Mount really helps out in the build up play. That we don't leave Jorginho exposed to get pressed and marked like in that way. But if you see that we create a sort of diamond here, and I like to call this a rotational space, right? The space between here, a rotational space. All a rotational space is a space that allows movement between the lines so that players can get in behind. So from here, you'd see simple movements like Werner would drop into the rotational space, Mount would get in behind, or Chilwell could get in behind. And this is where I think that I feel that Jorginho could improve. He's brilliant. I think he's one of the best in his position, but many times we don't see those passes or making use of
behind Werner sort of passes. Yeah.
Because if Werner drop, all Jorginho will do is pass to Rudiger, who would then get to Chilwell, who would then get into Mount. But I think that Jorginho has the ability from this position to be more, he's very smart. He can switch that play, but I think he could be more influential at getting those balls in behind. But that's just an example how to use this rotational space. And next one could be that even Kai could drop into the rotational space and Werner could get behind. What we'd need is, from this position, we'd see Rudiger would send those long balls to Werner, and then we would see Kante get up, and then the rest would unfold. And this is how we build play here using this system. We use that rotational circle, and we use that overload on the side with the ability to switch play if needed.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant, man. Brilliant. I just saw Ibsy in the live chat. Ibsy, you're going to absolutely love this particular show. We've talked a lot about Jorginho. You might want to try and share this so that more Jorginho fans come in. But I just want to have a quick chat about this super chat. Bobby Smoky Signals, thank you so much for this super chat. Not sure about tearing apart Chelsea's tactics publicly. Don't really see other fans do this with their own team. Best to expose opponents. Look, we will be exposing opponents, but it's not really about exposing you. As Jake from Come On You Blues TV said, it's more educational. I think there's a lot of misconceptions within our fan base that, oh, but Jorginho can't play a lone DM. But he essentially does. That's what he does. That's really what he's been doing under Thomas Tuchel as well. It's just our system, as I said, doesn't expose him as a lone DM. As Ryan has so nicely demonstrated, he's literally surrounded by V shapes behind him and in front of him, which protects him. So if you guys have missed that, just check it out. Ryan, now I want to talk about Kante's role. The next mythbuster that I want to talk about is Kante. A lot of people think, oh, but Kante is a double six because Thomas Tuchel said so as well. He's part of a double six. He's not a single six. But more times, especially that Real Madrid game, if ladies and gentlemen, if you remember that semi-final, both the legs against Real Madrid, Kante was box to box. Literally, he was doing I wouldn't say exact movements under Sarri, but Kante was in that same channel that was up and down, right next to Jorginho. He was never stuck beside Jorginho as a double six. He was literally the free man in that midfield who was linking up with, Timo Werner or Pulisic. Kante was absolutely a nuisance for Real Madrid in that particular semi-final tie. So this is the next question for you, Ryan. Many people think Jorginho and Kante are double six. They just sit next to each other. Obviously, we've now done the Mythbuster on Jorginho. Now we want to do the Mythbuster on Kante. For me, it feels like Kante is still a RCM under Thomas Tuchel. He still goes up and down. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I see it like that for sure, because I've set up this way from the right-hand side a bit differently this time, because I want you all to think about that Real Madrid game. A lot of time we saw Kante break free from this position here, where he would be free and have a lot of space to run into. As we can see here, we can see again the two Vs. This time Mount would help create an even bigger overload, which would create more space for a likes of Kante. Because when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly 7 players on one side of the pitch, and then you have a player like Kante and Werner and Chilwell ready for that switch of play. That's extremely difficult to defend against, because what do you pick your poison? You mark the overload or you don't, and either way you get exposed. That's why you can't really expose these tactics, because at the end of the day, it really comes down to individual ability to stop these plays from happening, because only so much tactics can do to stop these attacks. But yeah, talking about Kante, he always got into these positions where he can be the connector of play, and that we could allow for the switch of play. I think that one thing Kante has to improve from this position is, even though he has the legs to drive up and down, and he's very good at dribbling, I think that
see that's the thing, Ryan. Many people don't realize how good Kante is with the ball. So many people say, "Oh, he's not that great," but he's actually a very good dribbler. Like he drives with the ball very efficiently.
Yeah, and I think that people say bad on the ball. There's many phases of the game you could be on the ball. I think that when Kante has a lot of space, a lot of time he was in that lone DM on the Lampard, and he saw his ball playing capabilities even in France when he stays back a little bit and allows Pogba to go up. You can see that when he has space, he can spray those passes if needed. But I think people under Kante, what they're talking about, when pressed, he can be a little bit edgy on the ball. But to be honest, he has taken that responsibility very well at Chelsea, and I think he's improved a lot on the ball since Tuchel came in. With that, however, I think that his role on the ball is to be that connector of play at Chelsea and get those balls in behind. and to do it at the right time and the right weight of pass. And you could see that was a constant battle for him. Sometimes he win that battle, and sometimes he does not to play those passes.
Yeah, no, man, absolutely, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're getting a picture right here where the reason why Kante is not really in this sort of double six situation under Thomas Tuchel. Kante's role, many think, is to just defend. No. Yes, without the ball, obviously he will defend, but even without the ball, he's pressing and counter pressing and winning the ball up front. But with the ball, which is generally what we are, like Chelsea Football Club has a lot of possession. As you can see, Kante, the ability to have him open, to create an overload, whether it be the right side or the left side. As you can see, the overload from Ryan right now, where Christensen, Georgie, Aspilicueta, Mason Mount, and RJ are creating an overload on the right side, which is allowing Kante to be free. And then the quick switcher play comes in where Kante can explode through the middle, and then he can link up with Chilwell or lay the ball off to Werner. And this is exactly what was happening against Real Madrid. This was the exact kind of play that was happening. So don't fall into the trap, I feel, that, but in a double six, Kante's just there to defend. No, there's a lot more to Kante's game. And this is where I want each and every one of you guys to think about Declan Rice and what Declan Rice would bring into this team under what Thomas Tuchel is doing. I'm not saying that he can't bring a lot of stuff. He probably can. But if you put a Declan Rice where Jorginho is, Declan Rice has got to be very, very good on the ball. He has to be one-touch passes, find that switcher play, and find Kante. And if he's going to take Kante's position, then he's got to be the guy who drives with the ball and then find the quick passes to either Chilwell or Werner or Kai Havertz so the mayhem happens up front. So don't just think about the players and the position and think that that's where they sit. No, it's not like that. Yeah, go on.
I want to bring up an interesting topic on how Jorginho, having a player like Jorginho could allow for the possibility of having an overlapping right centre back in regimes, because everybody hears the name Regista. Who are we gonna put here? Let's put CHO just for the sake of it. But we haven't used the full potential of our three at the back because we didn't have that profile of a right wing back who can become a right winger when needed be.
Yes.
And the thing is, what could allow for this is that Jorginho is a perfect register to get between the centre backs. When you get between that centre back, it will allow regimes to overlap.
Yeah.
From this position, regimes could find those crosses or passes in behind from this position, where now we have a plethora of options to spread play and to become a threat from all directions of the pitch. And that's where I think I really want to see this next stage of the system unfold to, whether it's a 4 at the back or 3 at the back, to allow Jorginho to not only contribute to the build-up play on the ball, but contribute off the ball by allowing other players to get forward. That's something Frankie de Jong and Busquets and all the great registas do to allow players to go forward. And a lot of people says, Declan Rice is that guy who could sit back and be that third centre back to allow play to happen around him. But I'm sorry, that's one aspect of being in this position, but being an extremely good ball player is the second one. And I haven't watched enough of Declan Rice to say if he is or not, so that's your job. I'm just saying what this position entails. A second thing is I really want to talk about Kante. We were talking about Kante before. There's a player called Mateo Kovacic that in March and April, before he got injured, everybody was saying this is the player of the season if Mount isn't chosen. And I think that he was injured, he missed a few games, and now everybody seems to forget about Mateo Kovacic.
Yeah, so much so they want to sell him.
Just like how everybody forgot about Kante when he was getting injured. Just like how everybody forgot about Jorginho when he was left out of the team. The thing is, we have so much talented players that we should really appreciate and hold on to Kovacic, because I think in this connector role, don't shoot me, but I think that he is the perfect guy for that role. That he has the ability to drive forward and he has that final pass, I believe. The only thing that's different is that Kante is like two players, and then Kante will come back
That's
and
the
be the
thing.
destroyer
Yeah.
when needed be.
Yeah.
Kante will come back and be that destroyer and protect us even more. But I
Yeah.
think that having a guy like Kovacic is vital to our team, especially when we're going to have 60 games coming up.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
need to keep Kovacic because he is a world-class player in my eyes. And I think that he could get even better because he's approaching his prime. So he hasn't even reached his prime yet. And I think Tuchel is completely in love with him and his work rate and his qualities. And I think we're going to see much more from all three of these players. So we don't need to put people against each other. But we need to really think, who can be the backup for Jorginho? Because a lot of people say Tchouaméni, but
Yeah.
the thing is, he's such a young person to put the responsibility of being in this position. It takes a lot of, experience to be in this position. And I
Yeah.
think that he would be a player that's more likely to roam. Even though he's a defensive midfielder, he would get into those central midfielder positions. I think that, that would leave us sort of exposed, and it wouldn't do the register role that we just talked about, all the good things a register would do. I know I want to ask you that question, Miz. Who do you think could be a good player, a
Bro,
realistic player to play in that
honestly,
position?
this guy is not linked to us, but I'm not sure, Ryan, if you've seen this particular club and their football often enough. For me, the second one that I've watched most in the Premier League is Leeds, and I've said it many a times to the live chat that I've always talked to on a regular basis.
Calvin
Calvin
Phillips.
Phillips does that so well,
Yeah, he
man.
does actually. Yeah,
I don't know. Have you watched Leeds, man?
bro, a thread is coming on Leeds in this 25 game thing.
Yeah, baby.
But what they do is that they turn to a 3-3-1-3 also, right?
Yeah.
But what would be different is instead of dropping here, Calvin Phillips will actually take the responsibility of dropping either
Either side. Yeah.
way between the
Yep.
CBs, and then from here he would have, let me just get that 3-3-1-3 going. He would have free reign to spray those passes if needed, because Bielsa uses an overload on either side also.
Either side. Yep.
If you
Yep.
can watch, there's an overload here, then this guy would drop down, Bamford would go for the long run.
Yes.
And the responsibility of Calvin Phillips is to spray those passes and then get it to the connector, which would be the other midfielder or the fullback or the winger. And I think he is a perfect guy for that role, to be honest. And he is a machine defensively
Yeah.
also. So I think that's a good shout, man.
Bro, I've said it many times. Watch Calvin Phillips, guys, and they think, oh no, but he's not a sitter. He's played box to box for England. No, but that's for England. That's not what he does for Leeds. Under Bielsa, he literally does exactly what Ryan said. And it's not a coincidence that Phillips finds Rafinha and Jack Harrison on a regular basis in either side of the wings, because he sprays the pass from deep, and he bypasses the midfield at times, and he finds those wingers, and then it's mayhem because Leeds do not think on the ball. It's all a pattern. They've worked on this on training grounds. It's a pattern. They know where the movements are going. It literally just one pass after another pass, and before you know it, Bamford's free and bang, it's a goal. Whereas in England, if you've noticed, many a times Declan Rice will get the ball where Jorginho is, where just quickly, Ryan, just hover around Jorginho, where you've got that. Yeah, Declan Rice would be there, and literally he's thinking what to do, and you just won't get that much time play. And I'm not saying that maybe he would end up developing under Thomas Tuchel, and maybe he can pick that up, but this is something where you need to build up. Before we talk about the next particular Mythbuster, I want to just quickly give a shout out to Rodrigo Rodas. Thank you so much for this super chat, my man. Really appreciate it. Miz, you're probably the smartest Chelsea content creator. Big up, bro. We need lots of videos like this. Our fan base thinks playing a back three is defensive. First of all, I'm not the smartest. Ryan is, man. That's why I brought Ryan here. For me,
Um,
I'm a student of the game, man. I will never ever claim I'm the smartest. I'm not smarter than anyone just because I have a YouTube channel. That doesn't make me smart or anything like that. I'm very humble like that. I'm always learning. I'm learning from you guys as well, live chat. There's so many times you guys blow my mind when I read some of your comments. And more specifically, this is why I get Ryan here, because he's showing us exactly what's happening, and I hope that you guys are getting something out of it. As I said, before I go to the next player, Declare, thank you so much for the super chat. Ms., the font is too small. Which one is Rice? Cheeky. Look, I mean, Rice is going to come most likely, and soon we shall see a Rice name here. But now, Ryan, let's talk about the next player. People think that we play with the double pivot, but I tend to think Mason Mount creates a midfield three many a times. That pass that we saw from Mason Mount in the Champions League was literally from midfield. Even though if you see the formation, he started off playing as one of the inside forwards. So, I mean, talk us through that. I feel like Mason Mount's, and I want to play a clip here because this goal here from Mason Mount was fantastic. I just want to share this with you guys before we go back to Ryan's screen. This particular, guys, have a look at. There's quite a few things to actually talk about here. First of all, now go back to this formational sort of situation from Ryan. Ryan, I feel like Mount's role is so misunderstood as well. They think that Mount is one of the inside forwards and that's what he does. But there's so much more that Mount does, man. He drops deep. This is from my observation, right? And I know you're going to explain even more. I see Mount dropping into the midfield and creating a midfield three. I see Mount sometimes in the wings, as we've just clearly seen against Liverpool. I see sometimes against Porto, where he scored that goal, which was a proper inside forward position where Jorginho threaded that ball in. I mean, how do you see Mason Mount's role under Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah, I mean, I just loaded up I just drew like a interesting shape. This is how we build play when we are really pressed. Like when we are really pressed, Chilwell would drop deep next to Rudiger to make a back four, and then Mount would drop into a left midfielder position, a LM position. If you can see, it's kind of makeshift 4-4-2 that we build play with, which is amazing. It's something I didn't really see from Tuchel in any of his other systems. So that's to say how flexible of a tactician he really is, and how important having a player like Mason Mount is too, because you need to remember this guy was starting here, right, attacking mid, and now he's here in the build-up play. So that's how important having a player like Mount is. He allows you to switch from formation to formation to formation during the game.
Bang on.
And that is why. And it's not only that, it's the fluid front three. It's having a guy who can drop here, who can get our wing back to be here. It's a lot of things, man. Even
literally, Ryan, we saw in that particular goal against Liverpool, Reece James was the fourth player into the box.
Yeah. And even here, like Werner dropping here. Now, even though Mount is a really good left midfielder, he can be a left winger if needed to and get in behind. So we have a lot of players who are so dynamic that they allow us to change between games and be really fluid. And that's something that you see a lot with Manchester City. Also, they have players like Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Gundogan, who can get into those positions too. Could get deep, could get wide, could get forward. And I think that we're really lucky. Klopp said it, this squad is a gift for a manager like Tuchel. It's like his toys, and he could just play with them. And I'm really excited to see what he does next season.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm so glad, Ryan, you said that Mount's role. People so think that he's just an inside forward. No, he's not. He's literally sometimes on the left, as Ryan just showed. Sometimes he's on the right. Sometimes he's midfield. Mount's role allows us to be so flexible in this formation. And it's literally not even 3-4-3 anymore. That looks like a 4-4-2 now, if you have a look. What Mount's move,
Like, I know we were talking about Rice, and a really great idea came up, right, to me. I have an idea of why he'd probably want Rice for.
Let's do this. Let's do
Because
this. This is very important because the live chat needs to know, and I want to know as well. What would Rice do, like from your understanding?
In PSG, when he used his 4-3-3 in his campaign where they nearly won the Champions League, he played Marquinhos as a CDM, and then he played Verratti as the LCM, and then he played whoever in the RCM, whoever needed to
Yeah.
be there. Are you hearing? Am I breaking up, or are you all hearing?
No, perfect, bro, perfect.
Right, so I'm just gonna go to my thread where I did just to get a reminder of the shape. Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna change Jorginho to Rice. Y'all don't kill me.
No one will kill you, bro. Declared loves it. Declared wants to see Rice.
And
there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Rice is now officially a Chelsea player.
Yeah, and I'll just put Jorginho.
Here we go. Here we go. Confirmed.
Yeah, Jorginho will just be the Verratti role, right? Just pretend Jorginho is Verratti for the sake of this. We're in a 4-3-3, guys, and Kante could be like whoever was the RCM at that point. They really rotate that position. So what he did with, let's do a front three. The position that he got his players when building play was really interesting, especially in how he used Marquinhos as a CDM. When building play, he used a diagonal approach. The diagonal approach was something like this. Think about Rudiger, the center back, as the first piece of this diagonal approach.
Yep.
Then it would have
the base of the diagonal, the base of the sort of that diagonal situation. Yeah.
So let's get our left back. Tuchel wanted his left back to be able to overlap easily, to get into the attack if needed be. To allow this let's just get everybody out of the way, right? To allow this left back to get so high, right?
Yeah.
Tuchel likes to cover the space. If you leave a space, we need to cover that space because we're not going to be defensively vulnerable. So what they did is they got Verratti to be between the left back and the center back here. Now, Thiago Silva was like a wide center back, and there's a huge space here that if Verratti leaves here to come here, it leaves them very vulnerable. So what he did is he took the CDM, which was Marquinhos, and he played him here. And you would watch it and say, okay, that's a back three. Let's just get our midfielder here. Let's just get the next right back here. And yeah, let's just get one here and that's striking duo. Okay, cool. So that's how he set it up, his 4-3-3.
Yeah.
You might watch this and be like, okay, that's a back three with Marquinhos dropping into a back three, and you are right. You are right, but I want you to watch it from a diagonal point of view. I'm sorry, Miz, just putting on my charger before this computer crashes. Yeah, so what we have here is I want you to watch this diagonal point of view from this a diagonal line here, with Rudiger being the base of this little triangle here.
Just to stop you there so that the live chat just knows what we're talking about, you're looking at the screen live chat straight on like this, and you're thinking, what formation is this? Don't look at it like that. Tilt it that way a little bit, and then you'll see that Rudiger is at the base of that whole diagonal formation.
Yeah. So what happened with this front three? Just keep in mind the front three turned into a kind of 1 and 2 because Neymar used to drop deep, then the Mbappe used to be where Werner is, and then Di Maria used to make it like a striking duo. So let's just think about it that way. How Tuchel used to build here. Let's think about that first thing we talked about was the overload. We can see this pitch is in half once again. There's an overload on the left. There's a connector in Kante and the right back. Everything is nice. Well, how he used the midfield trio is that to get the fullback so high, he had one central midfielder between the center back and left back, and then he had the CDM, which is Marquinhos, kind of between the two center backs like this. Then
Yeah.
he would have the other midfielder on the other side of the pitch being the connector that we always talked about. And I want you to watch it from here. We talked about that rotational circle before, if you all remembered, right?
Yep.
So the purpose of these three players here, I want you to watch Rudiger, Rice, and Jorginho.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of these three players were to rotate with each other in order to find the best passing angles to release the ball. That's what was their role. Those three players were the main three first ball players in the build-up play to get those balls between the lines and in behind, right?
Yeah.
And that's why when people say, okay, Rice can drop in between the center backs, well, yes, he could, but as we've seen, Tuchel only did that so they could be three primary ball players in the build-up play. So it would be a dynamic attack because you think about you have three players here who all spray in passes. Now you can have somebody making that run here. You can have this guy overlapping here, and you have a plethora of options to play those balls in between the lines or in behind. Now let's talk about the rotational space I mentioned before. As you can see, there's a bunch of space here, and that's where the two attackers would be allowed to rotate. And then, say for example, Werner drops, then Kai could get in behind, then Chilwell could get in behind, and then even the right winger could get in behind like this. And then the fullback can overlap here.
Absolutely open. Yeah.
That's
Once
what we
again,
saw.
creating an overload.
And then Kante would be the connector in free space. And what we see here is a really fluid system where we'd see a lot of players interchanging positions and getting into positions to be as attacking as possible and penetrate those spaces. But I really wanted to talk about Rice and Marquinhos here, is that the very foundation of this system is to have these three players be the primary ball players. It wasn't that these three players could sit back so the rest could have a field day. No. These players started the field day. These players started the party, to be honest. And these players are vital in the build-up play. And to take those chances, to spray those passes, that's why I honestly felt like whoever got Alaba would have been got a gift of a player because he is the perfect player to be there. But that's why I also said that Jorginho needs to improve on taking those chances and taking those passes on. But it also shows that having a player probably like a Calvin Phillips in this position would be so vital if we really wanted to have that CDM position. And I think that if Rice was to be here and be in that CDM position in a 4-3-3, that he would need to, develop that side of his game to be a primary ball player, to make those passes between the lines. And that is how he used Marquinhos. It wasn't for defensive cover. It was to be a ball player and a playmaker.
To be a ball player. Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know how much I rate Rice as a ball player, Ryan. Like I think he's good. I don't think he's the Chelsea level good for Thomas Tuchel to do the madness that you are sort of describing here. What I suppose Marquinhos was doing. I mean, I could be wrong. Rice could turn out to be like that under Thomas Tuchel, but that's just my opinion.
And in the rotation, if you see here, is that's why it's so important to have ball playing centre backs if you're going to use a back four, because what we saw is Marquinhos used to drop here a lot, and then this left centre back, which was Kimpembe, got to get into these positions here where he could spray passes also, making it a really good attacking, foundation for this team. And I think that's very important to think about why we probably need players like Christensen and Rudiger, and to think about does Zuma really fit what we might need in this position here, because that's the foundation of a system in Tuchel's and even in like Guardiola's system or Klopp system or Flick system. That ball playing centre backs is not only about the build up play to play out from the back. It's about creating chances up top. Everything starts from here, whether it's a small pass between the lines or a long pass. It starts from here.
That is so true, man. So true. It's crazy. Like a lot of people probably don't, haven't noticed it enough because let's face it, when you're watching a football game, you're too focused on just the ball, where the ball is, but we're missing out on the movement so much, 100%. All right, let's go to the next player, and this will probably be the last one before we wrap things up. But before we do that, guys, we've got over 120 people live. Let's get the likes up to over 100 if you're enjoying this discussion. And guys, honestly, I can see the live chat. They're fighting over Declan Rice and Jorginho and this and that. Guys, just enjoy the show. Enjoy what you're watching. And if you're not enjoying, honestly, you don't need to be here. Like, you don't have to sit around here and fight. Just enjoy what you're seeing and comment accordingly to what you're seeing. Literally, everyone's just fighting around with Jorginho and Rice. And this is just... this is what I'm talking about. This fan base, honestly, when are you guys going to just appreciate the football, man? Just appreciate football. All right, yeah, let's get those likes up to over 100. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe and check out Ryan's socials in the description. Go and follow him in football Twitter. He does a madness. Ryan, I want to talk about a couple of more players before we wrap things up. First of all, I want to talk about Hakim Ziyech, and I want to bring up this particular photo here before I go back to your screen again. Do you remember Hakim Ziyech's match against Atletico Madrid, that second leg, Ryan?
Not really, but I'm watching your screen, so.
Do you remember the goal he scored? Like when Timo Werner broke through from the left and then he squared the ball in the middle and Hakim came in and into the box and he put that in? Do you remember that one, yeah?
Yep, of course.
So once again, that formation that people wouldn't think was a 3-4-2-1. But no, it wasn't really. It wasn't really. That goal was literally Timo Werner and Ziyech, probably Timo Werner far left, and it was they were trying to create a situation, just like how Ryan has sort of explained, to create an overlap in a particular set of area and then switch the play to Timo, which was on the left side, and then create that space for him to run into the defense, and then it really opens things up, and that's when you saw Ziyech come into the box and Werner square the ball and Ziyech was able to score. This particular image, Ryan, you can see how many people say, well, how's Ziyech going to fit in this formation under Thomas Tuchel? You can clearly see that it all depends on how the players move and creates different formations to then accommodate for a player like Hakim Ziyech, for instance. So in this particular picture, we can see Timo Werner. He's as the center at the moment. Havertz is just a tad behind him, more center of midfield. And Ziyech is literally hugging the touchline on the right. But have a look at all the situation that's happening in and around Ziyech. There's Reece James right behind him. Kante is very next to him, and then Azpilicueta just behind him. Seems like, once again, it's what you were saying, Ryan, a diamond that was getting created. And then there's a whole heap of space that's behind Hermoso and Jimenez, which is there for Timo Werner to attack, or even Ziyech to attack with the lines. So what's your understanding as to when people say, oh, but how's Ziyech going to fit in here? But we can clearly see that it can be done. You're on mute, Ryan.
Yeah, I think that a player like Ziyech I think that he's a gem of a player to have, to be honest. And I'm a huge fan of Ziyech. And I think that he can bring a different dimension to us, especially with regard to ball playing. I think that under Tuchel so far that we've seen that we got back the screen here. Under Tuchel so far in the 3-4-1-2, all the times we saw Ziyech thrive was when he was able to drop deep and become a part of the diamond, but not the tip of the diamond. And that's one thing that I think that just maneuvering this, why it's so important to have a player like a player who a right wing back who can overlap and who could run in behind and who could be that winger like right wing back, because it allows Ziyech to drop into here and have more of a ball playing responsibility. And if there's defenders marking the right wing back and the strikers, then it would do a sort of Jorginho thing where you would allow space and time for a player like Ziyech to do his magic. And that's why he had at Ajax.
Yep.
He was able to drop there because what Ajax used to do is that they, you know how we talked about overloads before? So
Yes.
this is I call this a vertical overload because we can see we overload vertically, right? What Ajax used to do is they used to do
Yep.
a horizontal overload, and they kind of used to set up like this. And this is where Ziyech used to drop into a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then he could have the reign to roam here where he could pick out those switches of play, or he could pick balls in behind, or he could cut in and shoot with his left. And
Do you reckon that's probably one of the biggest reasons why when he would cut in on his left, and he'd generally find whoever's on the left side, far left, and most of the times his crosses would be tapped in on that left side because they were purposely creating that opportunity for him?
yeah, for sure. And I think that it's very important to allow Ziyech to have that space and that time, and having this overload up here put the the opposition's defenders with full hands. They had full responsibility to mark these three players. So Ziyech had the free reign to drop between the lines unmarked and mimic play. I mean, not mimic. Sorry, but control play from there. And I want to bring it back to our formation where we use that having a player like a wing back who can overlap. It allows Ziyech to drop into that position where we need him to be. Creating a kind of shape like this on the left. And this is the same shape Bielsa uses in his 3-3-1-3, and that we used when Mount played in the midfield pivot. This is what we used here. We had Jorginho and Mount, and then we'd have somebody connect and play. That's why it's so important to have a player here that can overlap, because when we have a Reece James, for instance, who is here and he does not overlap, then Ziyech has to be the tip of the diamond. And when Ziyech plays with his back towards goal, being the tip of the diamond, having a defender on his back, that's where you can see he can lose the ball. He would have a bad first touch, and he wouldn't be as impactful as he would be because he isn't afforded that time and space between the lines. Instead, he is surrounded and rushed. And that's why it's so important to sort out this position here. And that's why Tuchel rather is Aspilicueta there instead of Reece James, because we need somebody who could overlap and allow our players to have that freedom to drop between the lines if needed.
100%. 100%. Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I think about Ziyech.
Nah, man, spot on, man. Come on, you Blues TV. This is a proper comment, man. Wait, and I want to see what Ryan has to say about this. So Ziyech was almost in a way the heartbeat of that Ajax team, like Jorginho is with us in that aspect of having players surrounding the players. Honestly, I saw a lot of that Ajax when Ziyech was around, especially that season where they were doing a madness in the Champions League, and the season after, which was Frank Lampard's first season. You're right. There was a lot of times Ziyech, and as Ryan has said, Ziyech was dropping from his wing position, dropping into midfield, where there would be an overload on the right side, and then you'd see Quincy Promes and Tagliafico on the left-hand side really bombing into the box, and Ziyech would find the diagonal passes. And yes, the right side would then overlap, allowing Ziyech to come in. Whereas last season, it wasn't always happening, as Ryan said, that Ziyech would find himself as the furthest on the right side, and there wouldn't be any overlaps that would come. And this is why we were linked with Hakimi, because Hakimi would do that. Hakimi's connection with Ziyech would have been unbelievable. Not to say Reece James can't do that. Maybe he can develop, but I think Reece James is a bit better in terms of being a right centre back. And as a right centre back, you're going to have to, evolve this season where you will need to overlap, as Ryan said once again. Ryan, what do you think about this particular comment from Come On You Blues TV?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Is that just sorting out like how he did at Ajax here. Um, just bear with me. I forgot some people's names. But yeah, this is kind of how he did it with Ajax. I'll see my screen.
Yeah.
Right. So this is how he did it with Ajax here. As we talked about, they had a horizontal overload. And to that comment is that I think that Ziyech was, yeah, I wouldn't say he was the heartbeat of the team. I think that De Jong was the heartbeat of the team.
Yep. Yep.
But I would say that it had players surrounded him where he could have dropped in between the lines unmarked. Because, I mean, how is a defender going to reach Ziyech from here when you have 5 players who can threat? Then you have 2 players, connector players, who can be there for the switch of play. Ajax is a crazy team, man. You'd even see Blin overlapping too and leaving Dillit alone as a sweeper. It was a crazy team to see unfold, and it was beautiful to see. But yeah, Ziyech, as we talked, we said a lot, we need Ziyech to have that time and space on the ball because he can create magic. You know, one thing we talk a lot about is Ziyech switch and play, which, yeah, is a huge part of his game. But do you realize he always does those one-touch little flicks and it never reaches anybody because nobody reads it?
Yeah. Nobody's reading it. Yeah.
Because due to the overload in Ajax, right? The
Yeah.
horizontal overload, it used to get in a position there where you had a kind of that kind of formation there, that shape. And these players used to integrate so much and make little triangles and rotate so much that they did one-touch third-man passes to get in behind. And they were so fast and slick and quick with it, and it was so, programmed in their mind the way they play. That Ziyech has that programming still into him. He does those quick one-touches, but other players aren't on the same mindset as
Wavelength.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, wavelength as him. And I don't think it's because Ziyech gives away play, he doesn't read. I think he's just 2 steps in front, but still the other team isn't, the other teammates aren't, and that's the problem. That's why you see him misplay so much passes too on flicks.
Yeah.
But
No.
you can see the comparisons though. You can see why Ziyech plays the way he plays at Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I have to say when he was under Frank Lampard, because under Frank Lampard we saw Reece James bomb up a little bit more, being a right back. He was bombing up a lot more, and we saw Ziyech do a little bit more similar stuff as he was doing for Ajax. But under Thomas Tuchel, the right wing back is just not sort of in the same wavelength as yet as to what they need to do. And I'm hoping that the right wing back understands that it does need to overlap and create that width so that someone like Ziyech is not penciled in on the right side if he does play. But it's so important. Well said. All right, Ryan, one last player or formation or role analysis before we wrap things up. Guys, we're literally 12 likes away from 100 likes. We still got over 120 people live. If you're enjoying this, please smash the like button. If you're here for the first time as well, subscribe and check out Ryan's socials in the description right away. Ryan, there was someone, I think it was Adrian Sheikh, who said that, there's been an analysis that's been done by CFC Daily in Football Twitter that perhaps we can do without a striker. Look, for me, the biggest reason for a striker is we haven't been putting our chances away. That's why the biggest reason. But I want to say to you, Ryan, that people tend to think that we play with the one striker, with the 2 inside forwards. But there is a lot of times where I've seen in replays where it's actually 2, especially when it's Timo and Kai Havertz. It really does look like we're playing with a 2 striker situation. And then Mount, as we've shown, has dropped deep in midfield or he connects. So do you want to explain to us that if, for argument's sake, we don't sign anyone, the whole Werner Kai Havertz up front with Mount sort of being the floater in between, how would that work out?
To be honest, I'm a huge fan of a striking duo of Havertz and Werner. To be honest,
I love it.
a lot of people won't be, but because of what they've seen last season. But when I think about it, I think about Werner 25 goals a season and Kai edging to 20 goals a season. That's the players we bought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the players we've
Yeah.
seen, but it's the players we bought. And I think that
I
we can
like
get
that. I
there.
like that.
But I still think we do need a striker, because if somebody gets injured or this and that, then we have 60 games to play and we want to win titles. So one thing that, you talked about that front three coming in, Mount would help in the build-up play. We would have somebody helping in the overload part. We'd most likely see Kai coming in here as right to be in the tip of that diamond on the overload. And then we would see Werner being free here to roam into that center striker position, and then Chilwell overlapping. Rudy would get wide, Christensen would get wide, and that's how it's set up.
Just to stop you once again, Ryan, before I let you off again, ladies and gentlemen, just right there, have a look what Ryan's illustrating. Don't get fooled that it's just three at the back and the pivot and three up front and no. You can literally see and look at it from a diagonal point of view. Look at it from like that point of view. How Rudy, AC, Aspie, Kante, J5, Chilwell, Mount. Like look at it as Ryan said, Rudy being the base, and you look from there. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and then you'd get even more. Then you'd see James reach late to overlap, because even though he doesn't overlap ahead of time, he still joins in. And then we'd see Aspie overlap as a CB. We'd see Jorginho, why he's so important. He will fall back there to help Christensen. And one thing you saw in that Real Madrid game, Christensen's right behind Jorginho, so Hazard couldn't get through. And that's exactly how we see Rudy would step back and can. And this is how it would look. And people say three at the back is a defensive formation, but the way I see it, that ain't looking too defensive to me. It's more of application. It's not even tactics anymore. It's application, because I think that from this point of view, more crosses could come in, more balls could go in between the lines. We can play way better than we do play. But as to your what we're saying here is that it comes into a really flexible, dynamic striking duo. And that's why I really love the idea of having these two guys, because they are so flexible that they allow spaces to open up on top. And then you could have many combinations, not only Chilwell overlapping, but if Werner drops deep, you can have Mount running in behind. You could even have Kante running in behind. You have so much options when you have a fluid front three. And that's what Tuchel's always used. He always had players like Aubameyang. Now he has Mbappe, Neymar. Now he has Kai, Werner. So when I think about it, I really like the idea of having Kai and Werner up top. It's a huge risk, but I think there's also a huge payoff. And I'd like to think, what are your thoughts on that, having that striking duo?
You know what? Honestly, I don't mind, because I remember that game against, was it Fulham? That Kai and Timo Werner, where Kai ended up scoring a brace in that match. And Timo Werner was very, very, very good in that match as well. And Mason Mount put in a couple of really nice balls for Kai Havertz. And later in the season, we saw a lot more of Kai and Timo Werner. Do you remember, Ryan? Like there was a lot more from Thomas Tuchel with Kai and Timo Werner. And I think it's because of what you've just said. Do you know what I mean? Like that ability from Kai to be that front, like the base of that overload on the right side, or whichever, could be sometimes on the left side. But then that explosive pace from Timo Werner is very important as well. The issue is that Timo hasn't put the goals away. That's why we're linked with, all of these strikers now.
I really want to add on to what I just said. What does 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 could be? Because it has two Kais. No, you all see my screen, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Don't laugh at me. But this is what Ronald Koeman does. And it's one of the most attacking thread backs I've ever seen, to be honest. And I've studied a lot of them, and they're coming out in my 25-day thread, so you can check out that. Follow me, Top for Tactics on Twitter. But I think that what happens here is that they kind of play similar to us, as they set up a diamond to the left also, and this would be Busquets. This would be the Pedri would be here. De Jong would be here, and Griezmann would be here. And what really happens is that Messi doesn't stay. Let's just put De Jong there, just for the sake of it, so people would know what I'm talking about. And then Des would be here. I forget who their RCB was, but he's important. Messi would drop in the build-up play around here, and that's why I love a fluid front three. Is when Messi drops here, there's a massive space here to be penetrated, and you would see players like De Jong, Des, and the RCB get into here and overload that side for the switch of play. And what you see here is that this three at the back, what Koeman does is one of the most enjoyable football I've watched, and y'all laugh at me because it's Koeman. But just having a player like Messi who can drop into there and create a huge half of the pitch missing on top, for these players to get in behind and mix and match, it makes them very hard to mark, to defend against. And that's why Barcelona has always been so great, because even under Valverde, under 4-4-2, and under Luis Enrique, Messi would always leave his starting position and drop here. And then it always creates a space on top, whether it's in the center or on wide areas, and would allow other players to get into the game and overlap and make this team so dynamic that it's hard to defend against. And I think in Kai and Werner, we do have that. We have players who can drop deep. Yes, they wouldn't be like Messi, but they have the ability to drop deep and impact their game. Only thing about Werner, though, he is good off the ball movement. Yes, he gets those assists cutting across low crosses. But I think that if we really want that fluid front three, Werner has to improve a lot on the ball also. Because but we won't go too much into that, but he needs to improve a lot. But this Werner that we're seeing is not a finished product. We have a 50 million player that has the potential to score 25 goals a season. And I want to see this player turn into his finished product. I want to see Kai turn into his finished product. And I think as a striking duo, these people, I want to see Kai in a final third. A lot of people say central midfield, RCM attacking midfielder. I want to see Kai in the final third. I think he's one of the best in our team in the final third. And I'm interested to hear what you think about having players who could drop there like a Messi and allow for players like a Kante, who will be De Jong here, to get in behind, or allow even a Ziyech, who we see make those runs into the box. Then we would need an overlapping right wing back again. We just seeing the need to have an overlapping right wing back, because there's so much space to be exploited when you have a front duo that's so dynamic.
It is what we said as well last season, that attacking impetus from the right side was so necessary. People tend to think, oh, no, but that's not important. We don't need to get someone like Hakimi. It was very important, to be honest. It was very important. And you can see it now. I'm not saying that the striker position isn't important. It is. As Ryan said, we could probably do without it, because Werner and Kai, we brought them in for goals. It's just unfortunate that it didn't work out that way. But if you think about it, if you deep it, Werner and Kai Havertz were brought in for goals. And now we are spending further 150 million for Haaland. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's only because Werner hasn't banged in the goals. But this is the big question. Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw someone, I think it was Brent Smith in the live chat, said that had Werner pumped in those goals, or even if he pumps in those goals next season, think about it for a moment. Werner missed 19 big opportunities. Had he just put those away, I don't think we would even be considering a striker at the moment in the market. I kid you not, we wouldn't be. We'd be looking solely for another option in midfield like Declan Rice or Tchouaméni or whoever else, right, for depth. But it is what it is. Just a quick question before we wrap things up. Do you reckon that's probably why Tammy doesn't get the opportunity, because he's not as fluid and he's probably not that great as well? Like, as you said, with the ball, Timo is probably not the greatest, but he does allow for that movement and that pace. whereas Tammy probably doesn't give that. Do you reckon that's probably the reason why Tammy overall doesn't seem to make it into the team?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes, I do think so, but I don't think so at the same time because
Yeah.
we need to think about it this way. Tammy doesn't get into the team because maybe he isn't fluid. He doesn't allow those same movements that we described for the past hour. But another thing is he would get in the team if he was a good player and he is a good player. If he was a great player, a world-class player doing a different job. If he was a world-class target man, somebody who could hold the ball, head the ball, score goals, poacher, like a world-class target man like a Lukaku, I'm sure Tuchel would change his system to facilitate that. Even in Giroud, you could see that Giroud could get us those goals. He could play up. He could provide a different option that Tuchel would be, willing to change his tactics to allow a player like that. But the thing with Tammy is that even as a target man, he doesn't have world-class hold-up play. He doesn't have world-class heading ability. He doesn't have world-class playing with his back behind goal. So now when you think about it, that he's a good potential number 9, but when he isn't good enough to change his system because he still mightn't fill that boots of being a target man. And again, with the fluid front 3, he wouldn't fill those boots either. So I think that it's a tough place for Tammy right now. That I think he has a lot of potential and he will improve, but he would only improve with game time. And I don't know if you'd get that here. And I think that's why it's so important that when we're looking for a new striker, if we're looking for a backup striker for Werner and Kai, what would we go for? Would we go for a target man who could allow us to be flexible tactically, or would we go for another fluid front 3 option? Because I think so far we have Ziyech, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi who could be that third man. And I think that it would help to have a target man in our team so we could always change things up. Because, English football is 4-4-2, 2 low blocks. And sometimes we would need that target man. So I think that we should still go in for a target man. We still need a striker because if Werner or Kai gets injured, you don't want to have, a player that's not preferred by Tuchel starting 20 games.
No, for sure. Ryan, I want to let you end this show with this comment. The Beautiful Game always provides great comment. He's saying, I know this is not a Haaland show, but how would he change this if he comes in? Just as a quick summary from your end, Ryan, how would you tackle this particular comment?
I don't think it would change or add a dynamic because Haaland is one of the quickest players. Despite his height, he's one of the quickest players in the world. He works really hard. He's not just a target man, but he works really hard to drop deep and help create chances and do the whole lot. So I don't think he would change these tactics we talked about. I think he would add, because he would add a target man dimension in addition to the fluid 3. So he would give us 2 options in one. So he would allow us to do both, which would be really dangerous for other teams. That's a summary of what.
Brilliant, Ryan. I swear I've had such a fantastic time here. I'm the host and I've had like a great time. I'm just listening to Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have enjoyed this show. Please leave a like if you've really enjoyed it. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. I've literally just pinned Ryan's Twitter link